on to you. Breakfast is Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson.
Really weird, really. Hey, you got through the storm.
Yeah, it was bucketing
I
down.
thought it was a heralding of the arrival of Matt Dickerson.
Oh, that should be appropriate, I thought, yeah.
Lightning and thunder, very, very frightening, and crashed down. Now, if you'd arrived now, you'd have been safe.
No problems at all.
Where'd you
Should have
park
been,
your Tesla?
oh, just sitting out the front there.
How do they go in the rain?
It's a normal car. It's
No,
got.
it's not. I'd be scared it'd electrocute me.
No, it's not going to electrocute you.
Why not? If water gets under the hood,
Well, the whole idea is don't let water get under the hood. They designed it, I'm sure, where they bucket it with
did
water.
they go through car washes?
Yeah, I put it.
That's
through,
how they would have tested.
I put mine through a car wash.
Nothing happens?
It gets
Don't-
clean.
I bet you the first time you went through a car wash, man, in your Tesla, you sort of put your hands off the wheel and you sat upright in the seat hoping, please don't electrocute me, please don't.
I wasn't the first one in the world to own one, so I reckon if someone's going to
but
electrocute
there's
it.
always the first time for a car to go fizz bang. It went fizz bang at one of our power stations on Tuesday or Wednesday, was it, with a big storm?
Yeah.
I think it was West Dubbo. It was arcing.
You could see, I saw a little video of it actually
Isn't
arcing.
it great? Isn't it great? And the person who, the individual was brave enough to, was 50 metres away, I know who did it actually, was told, they rang up and said, listen, this thing is sizzling. And the employee, I won't name who it was and what company it was, said, please stand back from the welder. And my mate was saying, now hang on, it's not welding, it's Mother Nature sending this power station up in smoke.
Yeah.
It was arcing. Why was it doing that?
Well, there was obviously some major short there somewhere, and I haven't actually seen any report on exactly what happened there. But power stations, you've got high voltage there.
Absolutely.
And they've got insulators between those levels of high voltage. And obviously, if something got hit, for example, a lightning bolt hit one of those and shorted out that or removed that insulation, that's when you get some pretty drastic sort of footage like we've seen from that one.
It was pretty dramatic.
Yeah,
4,100 homes went down.
Yeah, and the whole CBD was out, of course.
North and CBD, why that? It wasn't much in the south or east.
Yeah,
How does it get isolated like that?
Different substations. And what was intriguing about that one was that most areas, particularly in the CBD, are fed by two different areas. So you've got redundancy built into the electricity network. And so I was intrigued by the fact that the whole CBD was shut down when there was only one power station that was hit. But there was some information that came out to say that the other power station or the other feed in was actually shut off deliberately as a safety precaution.
Why did they shut it down?
Well,
Overload?
Well, just to make sure, yeah, probably because there was obviously a lot of electricity running at the time. It was in a working day, air conditioners running, etc. So they probably shut it down from a safety perspective, and that was what they said.
Yeah.
Rather than just let everyone try and run on one feed, they basically shut that down. So
Yeah.
it was out for a few hours.
Yeah, it certainly was. The Essential Energy crew, they were flat out. They were repairing it. 4,100 homes went under.
It shows you how reliant we are on electricity, though, Richard.
that's
People were
bringing
sitting
me
there
to this
twiddling their
point.
thumbs going, what do I do now? What do I do now?
Isn't it funny? Yeah, well, you get a blackout, and you know what you say? You've done this no, not your house. Your house is built in the 23rd century. But in average places, Matty Dickerson, we get a blackout, right? And you go, oh, no. All right, I'll have a cup of coffee. Oh, we can't even do that.
That's right. Everything you want to do, you can't do.
There's no backups here.
Well, some, and some people still have battery backup
I mean,
units,
hospitals
generators.
Have them, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing, and some homes and some businesses have
Do you
those
have a
sort of things.
backup?
Yeah, we have battery backups on our central components, just the computer components. And so much of my house, for example, is controlled. Same with my shop, so much is controlled electronically. If there's no power, then we can't get in and out places, so we've got battery
So you
backups.
can't call your life your own then?
No, we still need electricity even if it's not supplied by the electricity grid.
Yeah. Matt Dickerson, answer me this. Why did Optus and Telstra go off in that storm?
Yeah, I haven't been able to find an answer to that one. It's interesting because you would expect the towers that are running the mobile phone networks to have not
Well, you were mad when you saw a couple of these towers pop up.
Yeah, and certainly normally the way they would build them is they would have a battery backup unit in there and a generator, so that if there is a small interruption of power, the battery backup handles that. If there's an interruption of power for 30 seconds, just a small interruption, fine, the battery backup handles it. But battery backups aren't designed to go forever. They're designed to go for a short period of time. But then normally you've got generators in place so that when the power goes out completely and it's out for a period of time, the generators kick in and they will keep running it. As long as you keep putting fuel in there, diesel typically they'll just keep pumping away and keep providing electricity.
Turn on automatically?
They'll turn on automatically.
Turn off when the power is restored.
Correct, yeah.
But this didn't happen.
Well, I don't know exactly what happened, but all I do know is that certainly people were saying that they couldn't get access. They could actually make a phone call, but they couldn't use text messages, they couldn't use data. So a component of the mobile phone network was still working, but some components weren't. Now, it is a very intricate network that we have, and it relies on so many towers and ground stations and a whole range of equipment in between that it might have just been one part of the network somewhere that failed, that broke down, and that was enough to take out many components of there. So I don't know exactly where that failed, but we normally expect better than that, and we rely on it so much so that when everyone's sitting around the dark going, oh, well, what do we do now? Can't have a cup of coffee. I know, I'll get on my phone and do some social media. Oh, can't do that
either.
That's right.
Well, that's poor form. I'm sorry, but that's poor form. Because that means in times of conflict, right, if you want to get the upper hand on your adversary, you take out a tower.
Yeah, yep. And it was interesting.
Communication is the first thing that will go in times of war. They raid radio and TV stations. They shoot journalists in newspapers to stop the chatter.
Yeah, and Andy Pan, the CEO of Telstra, was in Dubbo a couple of years ago, did a talk at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast. And one of the things he talked about was 5 or 6 years ago, if the mobile phone network was down for a day, it was a bit annoying, and a few people said, oh, that was a bit annoying. Now, he said it's at the point, if the mobile phone network is down for an hour, it's a complete disaster for people. We rely on the network so much now that it's just an expectation that it's up all the time. Down for a few minutes, down for an hour, no, not acceptable.
That's it too. And, you know, some say, oh, but in the day we didn't have anything. Well, I'm sorry, we're in the 21st century now.
That's right.
This is what we're asked to live. I mean, I didn't ask for a mobile phone.
Yep.
I didn't say take out my hard line.
Yeah.
The governments said all this, didn't they, Matt?
Well, I think the people have spoken in terms of their usage, and that's really what it comes down to.
We like it now, and we want it now.
Yeah, yeah. The usage of landlines is a classic example. The amount of usage of landlines has dropped dramatically, and in fact there was a tipping point, and it was about I'm thinking 15, 18 years ago, I think it was, the tipping point where we had more mobile phones in Australia than landlines. So obviously mobile phones are increasing, landlines are slowly decreasing, and then it reached that tipping point, and now obviously we've got dramatically more mobiles than landlines.
Well, we're going to have to look sadly at our past at the Warrumbungles and a few of other massive bushfires on the south coast where communication was just dead.
Yeah.
Pardon that terrible expression, because the fires obliterated everything in sight to communicate, and that they found that communication was part of the problem of the disaster of the Warrumbungles.
Yeah, and certainly people have talked about the low Earth orbit satellite system to be able to have mobile phone calls and not rely on those ground stations. But those low Earth orbit satellites still rely on ground stations. So we've got one out at Brocklehurst, for example, where those satellites are communicating with something on the ground. They've got to have some sort of terrestrial communication to be part of that. So even if you have some satellites sitting up there and you think, oh great, my mobile phone can access those, it's still, at some point along the path, has got to get to the ground, and there's still got to be power provided on the ground.
All right, so if Optus went down, Telstra went, I keep thinking Tesla went down. Telstra and Optus went down. Is there any way I can make sure my smartphone doesn't collapse during times of storm?
No, we are relying on those providers. There's no doubt about that. The reliance
It's almost
on
a monopoly.
Well, there's three companies: Vodafone, Telstra, Optus. So if all three go down,
Well,
but
there's going to be another one,
TPG, they're merging with Vodafone for their mobile phone network. But effectively, what you've got there is sometimes they share towers. Sometimes there'll be one tower built, and there'll be all three carriers on that one tower.
And they pay for the privilege.
That's right, and I can only imagine they're all sharing the same power supply there. So if one of those goes down that tower, I would assume that all three would go down.
Well, if we're going to have this kind of weather that's outside our window now, it's sunny, and next minute it's going to come down in hailstorms, stones, and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
Surely these companies are going to have to look ahead with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people doing some work as we speak, Richard, to make sure that whatever happened, whatever failure there was earlier in this week, won't happen again.
Yeah. Okay. A quickie.
Sure.
All right. I have someone who's has a smartphone. What can I give them for Chrissy that will help that smartphone? A gadget, is there something?
Look, wireless charging is very popular at the moment. So you've got people that have got a modern smartphone, wireless. You don't need to plug it in. It's nice. You're not unplugging and plugging. You sit it on an actual charger, and that will charge up.
Well, you buy the charger with the plug.
Well, you buy the charger. It plugs in the wall, but it doesn't
so
actually
you've got to go
connect.
back to electricity again.
You can still got electricity, unfortunately.
When are they going to invent solar stuff so I can put this charger on a windowsill and...
Yeah, you've got that as well. So you can do that. You can have a little solar panel, and you can unfold it in a good sunny area, and that's enough to do a trickle charge to a phone. You'd probably have to have it in there for maybe 6 or 8 hours to fully charge a phone from dead. So you've
Well, that's
got
okay.
that.
If you're at work, you could leave it on the sill.
Yeah, if you've got somewhere that's got a good sunny location. Wireless headphones. So wireless seems to be the real flavour of the year this year. So wireless headphones, a whole range of different ones.
I wouldn't have to have this wire?
You wouldn't have to have that wire, but in the studio you'd probably still prefer it because it just seems like a bit better quality. The wireless headphones are convenience,
Yeah.
not necessarily absolute quality. If
Yeah,
you
I don't
like.
think you can get the quality they can get out of these things in the phone.
Yeah, that's right. And the wired
All right, so you
headphones
got
will still give you that. So
Wireless headphones and what else was it?
wireless charging.
Charger.
Yeah, wireless chargers seem to be two very
How do they
popular things.
charge?
They're using electromagnetic induction. So the same thing as all our transformers that we use when we plug in a transformer at the wall. We
Yep.
don't think about it, but it's electromagnetic induction. Same thing. Modern phones have got coils built in the back of them, and a wireless charger creates that electromagnetic field, and you set it close enough and charges.
How much?
You're talking about maybe $50, $60, different ones. You can charge watch and phone and headphones all at the same time. You can just charge a smartphone by itself. So there's different options there.
Yeah, okay. $50.
And for headphones, your wireless headphones, you're paying $100 and up.
Oh, chuck it out and buy a new phone. Mathew Dickerson. You come back before Christmas?
Yeah, why not?
Breakfast is Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk, Tech Talk with Mathew Dickerson.